Hey everyone, we're going to take a quick break to talk about our sponsor for the month, the Von Mack Agency. Von Mack is a full-service digital marketing agency with a focus on tour and activity operators. They offer it all. SEO, websites, pay-per-clicks, logos, content writing. If it's online marketing, they got you covered. As we mentioned before, it's uber important to hire an agency that understands our industry. And the Von Mack Agency knows water sports. Trust me.
And they do all the shit that you don't want to do. They do all the shit that you're probably not very good at, and they are. Look, for listeners of the show, America herself is giving a free consult, all right? If nothing else, give her a shout, give her a call, take 30 minutes out of your day. More importantly, take 30 minutes out of her day so she can get you straight on your marketing needs.
That's right. What do you have to lose? Head to vonmackagency.com and go to the Contact Us page to get started. Again, vonmackagency.com. And most importantly, let them know you were sent by the AWG guys. All right, let's get back to the show.
Spoiler alert, guys. If you do have kids in the car, I'm probably going to get a little upset on this one, maybe. I don't know. Anytime I'm given an opportunity to climb up on a soapbox, I love it. And I have to swear a lot. So I am not going to do my best, and we're going to let it rip. Welcome back, motherfuckers. Let's go.
Okay, so we are episode 104. We're going to be talking about peer-to-peer boating sites. So before we begin, we have some announcements. Take it back. We don't have any announcements. I was gonna say we have our lunch and learn today. We're recording. Obviously, this episode's not going to go live until next week, but we're doing a lunch and learn. Von Mack, they're sponsors this month on the show. But
wait, I gotta stop you. We got to talk about this, man. We got to talk about this. So Greg is really good at executing. Like, if you put something on Greg's plate, like, it's going to be done. It's going to be done perfect. Like, Greg's got a lot of strong suits. One of Greg's non-strong suits is naming things. We got to really work on this, man. Like, lunch and learn. Like, do you want anyone to turn out? It sounds like something like that would happen over at, I'm not even going to name names, but like the more nerdy tour podcast that's out there, right? You guys want lunch and learn, man. Lunch and learn that nobody's turning in for that.
It rhymes. It makes sense. I mean, I'm not putting much brain power into the name. I'm putting brain power into the content.
Oh, you got me. Not like me. I name things and then I walk away. I'm like that. Let's call it that. So we have talked about renaming stuff, but I do like, I like water sports, activities, tours, excursions, and recreation. Can we just be water? I love alliteration too. I love anything clever. Lunch and learn. How about like learn and earn or something like that, or lunch and learn? It's at 11, man.
Learn. Well, it's lunch.
Who's trying to learn at lunch, man? You're trying to like have a sandwich and be left the fuck alone.
What the whole kind of idea behind this is that, typically people do take lunch around that time, and then you could just tune in for 30 minutes and get like a quick, we don't have a lot of time. It's
not a Destiny Water Adventures. I don't believe in lunch. I'm like, lunch? Get out of here, bro. No, we get no lunch. Nope. Okay. No lunch. Go. Lunch.
Okay, we'll change the name.
Earn and learn. Learn and earn. Learn and earn. Okay. Turn and burn.
So the whole.
Can we name the Water Sports Forum Turn and Burn?
Turn and burn.
I love it. I'm tired. I'm sick. That's not a good idea.
I know.
That's a terrible idea.
All right. So let's just go.
What are we doing? Lunch and learn. What's happening at lunch and learn?
Website conversion optimization.
So lunch and learn will have already be over by the time you listen to this. With one thing that you have learned for this, we are fucking unprepared.
Okay, so one thing I will say is that we are going to do another one. By the time this airs next week, you have another opportunity because we got Dustin from PPC Pros and Conversion Assist. He's going to do one on SMS automation. So you will be able to participate in that one by the time you listen to this. So what Kevin and I are going to start doing is, we know that after the podcast, there is a lot of questions sometimes from people. And we have, our sponsors, and we want to really just engage everyone and have like an open forum. And we figured Friday, people are usually, at the end of the week, and maybe it's a good opportunity for us to do things like this. So most Fridays, we're going to start scheduling these lunch and learns, and it's going to be all different types of people on there. We might have some of our
Fridays
guests.
Right up until like May.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be doing lunch and learn when I'm turning and burning, baby. We got to make money. The only thing we got to learn about is what we're going to do with all this cash we're going to make this summer.
Yeah, so I think it's a fun way to engage the audience and help bring more education to our community. So make sure you join our Facebook page, Watersport and Boat Tour Operators, because that's where you're going to get all the information.
That's where you're going to get lunch and where you're going to learn.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. What are we doing
all right.
with our lives?
So we're talking about peer-to-peer sites today. Kevin, what is a peer-to-peer site? Give us a definition of a peer-to-peer site.
It's like a more evil version of an OTA.
Oh, thank you.
If you thought I hated TripAdvisor, no. So peer-to-peer is like, I guess the only way to sum it up is like maybe like Uber. Sort of. It's like kind of like ride share, kind of like one part Uber, one part Airbnb. It's a part of the whole sharing economy. You go like.
So these are not professionals. Not necessarily. I wouldn't say people that have a spare room, a spare car. Like, some examples you said, you have Uber, you have Airbnb, you got Turo for cars. There's a lot of different sites.
So peer-to-peer generally, you're not going to have Hertz, but then again, like if you go on Airbnb, you're going to find a stat like you can get. I think they have like hotel rooms on Airbnb, so it's a platform. It's a reseller platform. There's like institutional companies on there. There's if you just have your thing that you have your vehicle, whatever you want to do. So it's sort of like on the boat side. It's sort of like a hodgepodge mix of professionals and then people that are just doing like launching bareboat. You do have captains on there, so it's a mix. It's a really solid mix. That's what a peer-to-peer site is. We're not going to use any names just in case.
Hey everyone, we're going to take a quick break and talk about our sponsor for the month, TourScale. TourScale offers 3 different franchise models designed to work alongside your existing business. They are all manufactured right here in the U.S. and include everything you need to launch your new business, including web, marketing, analytics, and data to automate your tour operations. Let's talk about the different options they offer. Trolley Pub is a 16-seat pedal-powered bike. Next is the Paddle Pub, a 26-passenger U.S. Coast Guard CO-wide cycle boat. And lastly, the Tiki Pub, which can be built for 6, 20, or 30 passengers.
Hit up my boy Kai at tourscale.com. That's KAI at tourscale.com, or give him a call at 888-753-7507 and ask for Kai, or hit me up in the DMs and I'll give you his personal phone number. And we can talk all about how I saw one of Kai's pedal pubs at Arrival, and I thought it was super cool. And when we got into the weeds a little bit, Kai kind of explained to me the differences between their product and some of their competitors' product, and why it was so important that this stuff was being sourced here locally, and I couldn't agree more. You'll also notice a lot of this stuff is called Pub, and which is 100% on brand with what I'm all about. Getting your people out safely, and a model that promotes safety by having a captain or somebody driving the vehicle that you're in while you're having some drinks. And I couldn't be more on board with those ideas. So hit up Kai at TourScale and talk to him. Let him know Kevin sent you from the Awkward Watersports Guys, and maybe he'll kick me back like a kickback or something, which would be dope.
All right, guys, let's get back to the show. So here's the definition of a peer-to-peer site. A peer-to-peer service is a decentralized platform whereby 2 individuals interact directly with each other without intermediation by a third party. Instead, the buyer and the seller transact directly with each other via the P2P service. So there is a lot of variations of peer-to-peer, but more specifically, we're going to be talking about how it's relating to the boating industry and how folks that have a boat that they've purchased, that they use privately, that they can rent the boat through these peer-to-peer websites. And, and we're just going to talk about kind of like the pros and cons and what what our thoughts are on it. Now,
Yeah, here's a con. Somebody buys a brand new boat and they have no idea what they're doing. They give it to somebody. They drive that bitch into a pier. Bam! Goodbye boat. Peer to peer.
Peer to peer. Oh my God, that's funny. Yeah, that's right. Have you seen some of these like videos online where like people are drunk driving these big yachts like in South Florida, and they're just ramming? There's one boat where the guy just went nuts and he's like ramming all these docks and everything. That is peer to peer right there. That guy went like dock to dock to boat to boat to peer to peer. So
where do we start? Let's talk about what it looks like when you get on a peer-to-peer site. So when you talk to somebody from a company and they want to bring you onto their platform, somebody's going to call you up. They're going to give you some information, and they're going to try and roll you up and get you on their platform renting boats as soon as possible. Some of them have insurance options for you. Some of them, they cover the renter. I do not believe they do hull. It's not something that I asked. I actually was, but they kind of gave me like a weird wonky answer when we talked about it a little bit. They don't. So they don't, they're not, you drive your boat, somebody drives your boat into something, you're on the hook for the hull insurance. So they do general liability for you. They take anywhere from, I think their baseline is a 10% cut. If you want to cover the renter, it's an additional like $40. So, they're going to call you up and they're going to say like their ads. We've been seeing ads everywhere. Make up to $20,000. Some guy was talking about how he's making $40,000 a boat and renting all this. And so regardless, like that's sort of their pitch, go buy your boat, get your nut covered and make a little money on the side. They're going to list it. They're going to, everything you need to get up and running. They are going to provide you can't see me, I'm air quoting them, foundation. They're going to give you the foundation to do that. And, they're going to get you up and running and making money, presumably. And I mean, sounds like a pretty sweet deal.
So I made a post in our Facebook group about this kind of predictions on how peer-to-peer will affect the boating market. But Kevin, you gave a good example of what it looks like onboarding onto a peer-to-peer site. And, some of the pros to a peer-to-peer site is that you can quickly onboard, put your boat up for rent. There's insurance options to cover the customer. It's a way to kind of pay your note if you're a private boat renter. So there's some positives to it. I'll tell you right now, like with TripShock, you're not going to do that on TripShock. We're going to require you to have your livery permits. We're going to make sure you've been in business a while. You have, legitimate reviews. You understand actually how to run a business because, there's liability that we face. And, some of these peer-to-peer sites are actually owned by major insurance corporations. So there's a different level of security for some of them. So, it's not all bad. But we want to really kind of break it down and give our thought process.
I think it's a great business model, to be honest with you. I'm a little salty. I didn't think of it myself. You know what I mean? I mean, look, at the end of the day, man, like if you're listening to this and you're like trying to get into the game, because I've really had to sort of slow this down and think about it a little bit, because some people want to get into the game. And then you have these wild ass county and city laws and we can go back and forth. And I've got my own opinions on, legacy, business owners, not legacy boat club, but business owners, you know what I mean? So regardless, if you're trying to get started and you have no way to get your foot in the door, everyone's got to start somewhere. And so this is a place for, if your marinas are all locked up, if, somebody is, let's say, kicked you out of their marina and started their own competing business. I mean, there's a lot of positives for it if you're trying to get started in the game and you don't know what you're doing. That's not to say there's no negatives, and we're definitely going to get into that a little bit, but it can be very difficult if you're trying to get into this business and you have nowhere else to go. You don't know anything about marketing. You are maybe a first-time business owner and you love boating and you're like, hey man, I want to make this like my life's work or whatever. I really want to get into the maritime boating industry, whatever. I'm gonna splash this boat at the thing. I'm gonna rent it out, and I'm gonna try to do everything the right way and get a business started. And I believe the majority of what I've seen, Greg, in a lot of these people that are using these platforms, that is what they want to do. And so these peer-to-peer are giving them a platform by which to get started into the entrepreneurial game. But make no mistake that it is only that. It is only a platform. That is it. The buck stops there. And so for sustainability, as a business owner, and we'll get into that a little deeper through the show, there's a lot more than you need than just a platform to make it and survive in this industry.
There was an article recently posted in our group about how this guy makes $40,000 a month renting 2 boats, working 30 minutes a day. Let's just stop there. If you are working 30 minutes a day, making $40,000, then you need to call me up and tell me how that works. This is the problem with that article. It basically says to all these people that, hey, you can get rich off of this and not have to do anything. That's the message that company, I'm not going to mention their name, but that's the message that they sent. And that's not the first article I've read about peer-to-peer boating sites making this look like. It wasn't a sponsored article, but for the way it was written, it was definitely paid. So if you're getting into the game, let's be clear that that's not true. 100% false. And it's the attitude like that hurts the industry. It makes it seem like this is easy. You can get rich. And obviously this company wants more people to list their boats so they can make more money. But that is not the case. Running a boating business, if you truly want to get into this, there's so much more than just listing your boat and then dropping it off trailer. Like and Kevin, I mean, I'm going to let you run this because this is what you're most passionate about. That article was terrible for our industry.
Yeah, I love it. I didn't have to read it. Gary Vee sums it up. If you Google like Gary Vee and passive income, look, man, you want to have 100 doors, Airbnb investment. It's the same pitch. You're just gonna hire a property manager, buy some properties and roll on out, man. Make a bunch of money. There is no such thing in the entrepreneurial landscape as passive income. Like, I don't care what it is that you do. Like, if you want to be successful, sustainable, and actually have a brand and a business that lasts, there's nothing passive. I don't care what it is, man. Renting boats, pizzas, Airbnbs, doesn't matter what it is, man. You better put your heart and your soul, and you better grind on this shit. Now, this in particular, that is not only careless, it's dangerous. So that was the other portion of that conversation that I had with them, was that it was just like, hey man, here you go, get your boat, put it on there, doesn't matter, it's all good. And I'm like, hey man, I have no idea what I'm doing. I said that, I said, this is my first time, I know nothing. And then, yeah, you're good, man, here you go, there's some articles, and you're off to the horses and running. Now, look, man, understand that when you talk about Uber, right, as a company, there is an idea here, because the taxi liveries and Uber sort of had this same, like, where they were butting heads. And the taxi liveries had a pretty not so great argument. The difference between renting your boat out to somebody and having an Uber driver is that the Uber driver is actually licensed by the state to drive a boat. And they have probably, presumably, driven a car a lot. So the idea that you're going to be a new boater or whatever it may be, that you've been on the water a little bit, you drove your pontoon boat around, or your weekend, you know what I mean? And that your limited experience doing this giving it to somebody that even has less experience doing this without some type of education, licensing, or actually knowing what they're doing. I'm not going to say it's a recipe for disaster, but look, I've been in the game a long time. I don't have a single boat that has not had the shit kicked out of it. So if you have one boat, and this is like you're trying to make your livelihood off this, and somebody takes that boat and smokes it, like game over. And it's not if they're going to smoke it, it's when they're going to smoke it. Like everybody has cracked up a boat. I don't care, like, you know what I mean? Seasoned professionals, whatever. So, you know, the thing about this is that they make it seem as though it's so easy and that, you know, anybody can get on a boat and anybody can. And the stakes are not just your boat. You know, it's somebody's life or somebody's limbs or somebody else's that not even, you know, are you checking to make sure that they're not getting drunk? Have you gone down the checklist of everything that you can? No, I mean, because the education isn't there, man.
I've heard from multiple people that witness transactions at boat ramps. I mean, one of our good friends, you know, they have a business at a boat ramp in Destin, and there's a lot of transactions that happen between private boat renters and the P2P sites where there's almost no education. Here's the keys. They give a little instruction on where some of the life preservers are, and that's it. There's no licensing or, you know, the boat cards, the boat permits being issued. It's the Wild West. And there's a huge difference between the peer-to-peer lodging model like Airbnb has. When you're renting a home, there's no license to rent a home. Well, you don't need to go get a driver's license to be in a home. We know that. With a boat, you know, you do need to have a temporary certificate, and that is not enough. We know that.
No.
But that's the minimum, but it's not even happening. So when Hertz rents a car to you, what do you need? You need a driver's license, you need insurance. They go through the whole rigmarole. But you're saying that we don't need to do the same for boating? Yeah, I mean, our waterways locally here are dangerous. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'd rather be on the road than be at Crab Island, you know, with a boat as a new boater. Like, it is so far more dangerous. But the laws allow people just basically give keys and to new boaters and go. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's scary. Hey everyone, Greg here. As you may know by now, I'm the co-founder and CEO of TripShock, an online reseller for water sports and tours. For the past 12 years, we've had the pleasure of working with hundreds of operators across the country, and we're looking to grow our community. It's free to sign up, and you only pay when we bring you confirmed bookings. We'll help you reach new customers, fill empty seats, and grow your business like so many have done with us over the years. Head over to partners.tripshock.com to learn more about our program, read testimonials, or speak directly with our supply team. As always, thank you for listening and enjoy the show.
Yeah, man. I mean, so look, I'm not, if you're listening to this and you want to break into the game, man, you know, look, more power to you. Look, I'm not with the government or anybody else telling me what I can do with my property or how I go about starting a business. And that's why I'm conflicted about this, you know, because we go into these county meetings and they're like, here, give us all of your information on you. What's your name? Hey, fuck you. That's my name. As I quote Alec Baldwin from Glenn Ross. You remember that scene when he walks, he's like, what's your name? And he's like, fuck you, that's my name. So I get it, you know, like I get that there's to a point, it's like, well, you know, there's these like restrictive laws and this like whole system set up that's like pushing their thumb down us. And then we as delivery operators are sort of like maybe like, oh, you know, I'm a professional. And then there's somebody listening to this is like, look, man, we're like, I'm renting a pontoon boat. Like, man, guys, take it easy. How dangerous can this possibly be, or how hard can it possibly be? And it's not, right? The reality of it is not rocket science, but there is a science to it. And again, I'm going to take it back to the sustainability model. Okay. If you want to start a boat rental business or a charter for hire business, or you have to ask yourself, is it sustainable? So even to this point yesterday, I had a conversation with Ilya, and we talked about the bare boat thing. Oh, you get in the bare boats, we can put more than 6. All they have to do is find their cat, blah, 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 blah. And I said, look, man, is this sustainable? Am I going to put my time and my effort and my energy into this, and there's going to be a long-term return on my time and investment. If we put a bunch of time and effort into this, like, is it going to return back over the long period of time? Well, look, if you want to jump into the boat rental game for a couple of years and try and make a quick buck or pay off your note, well, that's awesome. But you do have to understand that boat could come back in multiple pieces. So this time and energy and effort, everything that you went through to do this, to start a business, and now 2 years later or 3 years later, you have a busted up boat. You don't have an actual true business model. And again, this might not be the case. This could be your foot in the door and you're doing things the right way. And you're listening to this show because you do want to do things the right way. And that's what we're here for. So it's easy for us to get on a soapbox and smash peer-to-peer, smash you guys like getting out, trying to get your bare boat, do stuff like that, going to get your OUPV, get your 6-pack license. I get it, man. Like 100%. I 100% get it. But you have to continually ask yourself, like, is this sustainable? Am I getting educated on this? Am I learning and getting better? Am I going to lunch and learn with Greg and learning every single day how to get better and make this sustainable? Because if you want to succeed in this or any other industry, if you want to be in hospitality services, you cannot rely on Airbnb. You eventually have to buy a hotel. You cannot exist solely as a commodity for the long term. You have to build your brand. The only way you build your brand is by making sure you have education, you're doing things the right way, you have a website. You don't need any other website to exist. And if this is your first time listening to this show and you're a person that's using these peer-to-peer sites, good on you, man, 100%. But do me a favor, 2 things, all right? Make sure you know your waterways. Make sure your customer knows what they are doing before you let them out. Have them do a spin. Have them take you back and forth. Make sure they absolutely know what they're doing before they take off in your investment and in your time.
And not just make sure they know what they're doing, but make sure that they have the proper documentation. Do they have their boater's card? Not every state requires it, but in Florida, if you're born after January 1st, 1980, you need to have a boater's card. And if you don't know, I mean, take myboattest.com.
Hey.
They offer the temporary boater certificate.
Thanks for the plug.
Yeah, they have a plan, have a checklist in place. Do more than what you're required to do, because be a good steward of the industry. Because here's what happens. So we have all these folks that want to get in the business and rent boats and make some money part-time. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not against peer-to-peer sites. What I am against is people not following the rules and making it worse for everybody else. We don't need more laws. We don't need more laws. We don't need any more regulations. But I do feel like there needs to be something that requires, peer-to-peer renters to make sure that they're administering all the checks. I don't know how that happens. Like,
well, that they're not. That's the other issue. I'm not big into laws, man. I'm not a big government guy. I'm not. And so again, part of me is like torn on this, but at the same point in time, we do all have to play this game by the same rules. So if you want to try and bend the rules to your favor a little bit, like, good on you. I see what you're doing. But at the same point in time, again, is it sustainable? Like, is this idea sustainable? So to them, and we've talked about this, Greg, like, they want to see our companies on their platform. Like, make no mistake, all you guys with your 1, 2, 3 boats, they want to make sure that all the liveries are on there. So all the bare boats are on. Like, they want to swallow up everything. And that's great. Like, hey man, good on you. Take over the world. I'm with it. But again, you got to make sure that your product is sustainable. There's uneducated boaters out there on jet skis and fast boats. And is that sustainable? No. And here's why. You have things like 606. So that's fantastic that an insurance company owns your company and you're able to kind of like subvert that a little bit. But as the accidents keep on happening, then it's just like every HOA banning short-term rentals, City of Key West banning short-term rentals. So is your business model sustainable? Not if it's not predicated on safety. If you're not making sure people are coming back 100 out of 100 times, then that insurance company is going to fold up, man. They're at least going to fold up on the commercial side, because it'll be just like parasailing or jet skis or anything else. If your people are getting killed out there and hurt on your platform, it's not sustainable. Now, I guess
the platforms too will make changes. So let's talk about Airbnb, because I think it's a really good lesson. So when Airbnb first started, it was all people that renting rooms, they're renting apartments. It wasn't institutional. So it was just you and me putting our homes and our apartments on their platform. Now, years go by, they start growing, and now the professionally managed vacation and property rentals, they're like, wait a minute, we need to get on here too. So Airbnb builds these APIs to connect to all of these reservation softwares. So now Airbnb gets all of this inventory, including hotels. They're bringing in all this lodging inventory. So not only do they have the peer-to-peer, the guy that has the one bedroom, but it has the institutional lodging coming in to rent. So Airbnb, they want more professionally managed rentals, because people are going to have a better experience. I mean, there's some individuals that probably do a really good job, but more so the professionally managed rentals are going to have better photos. They're going to have
100%.
more updated availability, more cleaner rooms. That's just going to happen. Now, what do you think is going to happen when a boating peer-to-peer site starts integrating into all of these reservation softwares, WaveRes, Fair Harbor, Peak? When they finish all of those, they pull in all this professionally managed inventory, liveries, charters, updated real-time calendars. What are they going to choose to promote at the end of the day? So I believe over time, the peer-to-peer sites are going to go the same way as Airbnb did, and focus on the professionally managed. And the deliveries can afford to do higher commissions. They can be more aggressive because they have inventory that they need to sell. Like, this is their livelihood. This is not a guy that's trying to make a couple $100 on the weekend. These are people that are really serious. And I mean, for those that know the fishing industry, there's I guess they're somewhat peer-to-peer, but they're more professionally managed. But Fishing Booker, I heard through Fishing Booker that they had a big problem with the weekend warriors, where these captains would just, do part-time. And I heard that these were some of the worst performing captains on the site, because they did it for fun. They weren't serious about it like the guys that are doing it full-time. So my prediction is that it's going to be greatly favored to the professional rentals companies like Kevin's over time. And if you're really serious about getting into this and buying more boats, then think about building a brand. Get a website, get a reservation software, still use these sites. I mean, they said they're desperate for this professionally managed inventory.
So I want to talk to the new people out there we've got an influx of new folks coming into the group. I think we got some of those peer-to-peer people and new captains. Here's my 2 cents of advice. Get your captain's license. All right. You own a boat. You can get your OVPV. Get your captain's license. If you're going to rent a boat on a platform, get your socials. Okay. If you have literally no money to put into anything, get your social started. Get a website started if you can afford to do it. Learn about marketing. Like, those are the steps to being a real business owner, and not something where this is just like, because again, like, this is not one way or another. Like, don't get me wrong. If you're planning on doing this for like a year or something, maybe you want to pull 20, 30 grand, pay for your boat and walk away. I mean, yeah, you can probably be all right with that, depending on your market and depending where you're at. It just depends on your goals. But if you really want to get into this game, you want to get educated. You want to work on building an actual real brand. It's fun. Like having your own t-shirts, having a business card, doing a logo. Like, that stuff is fun. Like, I mean, at least it was to me when I got Destiny Water Adventures going. And, it's exciting. It's awesome. So, you never want to be beholden to anyone or any one thing. It's bad enough that you rarely ever own a marina. You're renting something out from somebody. Like, this game is not easy, man. Like, it is not
We're talking about
easy.
not 30 minutes a day.
Yeah, I mean, 30 minutes a day, that's definitely all I put into it, man. You know, I like wake up, I'm like, you know, I walk out on the bow of my yacht, I'm like, oh, let me work for 30 minutes. And then I do my podcast, and then, you know, I jump in my Lamborghini and drive home. Yeah, it's like,
and just watch the money hit the bank account.
It's like, this is 7 days a week, man. You know what I mean? Like, this is like nonstop. Like, water sports, the boating industry, maritime, tourism, like, we're grinding when everybody else is on vacation. Summertime, we're working. Christmas time in the right market, we're working. I came to North Florida because I had this idea that I was going to get winters off and get a break from the boat, which I sort of could have, but no, man, you know, like, it's time to go. And it's tough for me. And I want you to, like, really, from a guy who, man, has almost lost his family, had a heart attack, battled alcoholism, depression, anxiety. Like, this is not for the faint of heart. And you might think, and every single operator I know, right? And this truly comes from the bottom of my heart, because I talk to operators on a daily basis, man. Like, I know their struggles and their pain points and everything that they're going through, from insurance to regulatory to landlords to irresponsible boaters to FWC to the Coast Guard to the local. It never stops. And in fact, I shared that screenshot of you. A shout out Rich Welter, Sunset Watersports. He's been mentioned probably 100 times on the show because the guy's like my mentor. But he's never stopped, because look, no matter what happens in your life, if this is your business, like, the next day the boats roll out, sun comes out, sails up, let's ride. Like, we don't ever stop, man. This is not Chick-fil-A. You know what I mean? We're not taking Sundays off, man. Sunday is one of my biggest phone days. And everybody in this industry, my whole family included, know. And, you know, Neil household, man, we work. And sometimes it's tough, man. But I just want you to understand that, man, you know?
Yeah, I tried to do this part-time. I had a water sport company in Orange Beach for 3 years. I tried to do it part-time, and it wasn't part-time. I mean, I was only there a few times. I had a really good crew, but every day at 6 to 7 o'clock, I'm getting a call. Someone fell and busted their head open, or someone didn't show up to work. The jet skis blew up. Like, it was every single day. And I only had like 6 jet skis when I started. So to think that you can just rent things on these peer-to-peer sites and think there's nothing going on. I mean, I was easily an hour to 2 hours every single day, you know, with that. So, just be ready. Yeah. This
episode would go on for 40 straight hours if I had to tell you every single thing that ever came with it. But at the end of the day, I can't bash on anybody's hustle. I can't hate on anything. I did find it a little disturbing at the lack of, when I was on the onboarding call with the peer-to-peer site I talked to, I was a little bit disturbed at their cavalier attitude toward the laws and the education side, and making sure that people are really set up. It was just kind of like, yeah, man, just get your boat listed and rock and roll, because understand that that's what 100% that they're here for. Nothing else. They don't care if you are 100% a commodity to them. They don't care if you live, if you die, if your boat blows up, if somebody gets run over. They do not care. Okay. I mean, some of them are owned by insurance companies, and we can't even talk about the satanic rituals that must happen inside of the cabal of insurance brokers. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's like, I pray tonight I never have to use them, but I always thank God that I have them. But you have to understand that your boat is just a listing. If that thing blows up tomorrow, they don't give a shit. They have somebody right in line to take your spot. You are a commodity to them. You are a number to them. And that is not what this business is about. This is not how you acquire customers, retain customers, build a brand, build a legacy, and have something that's long lasting and something that you can provide to your community, because that is not what they are about. And as Greg said, with the hoteliers and the customer service and all of these things that we bring to the table, being educated and making sure your customers are safe and the community is safe, that's our job beyond everything else. Yeah. Money, at the end of the day, if we do our job right, we make a little bit. Maybe.
Yeah, you said community, and that's spot on, because you operate a shitty operation, even just from a part-time thing, and your customers are getting hurt. That affects everybody in your area. We've 100%. Seen this firsthand. I mean, they have an ordinance right down in Okaloosa County where you can't even start you can't trailer a boat to a public boat ramp right now. There's an ordinance to protect it, and nowhere in Okaloosa County. That's because how bad it got here. It got so bad that they put regulations in place, and this will continue if the peer-to-peer folks do not. I mean, it's not just peer-to-peer. I'll take that back. There's some livery companies that are not following it too. So it's not just peer-to-peer.
100,000%.
But I'll tell you, but the livery companies are way more regulated, and they are, required. Again, we have to do this as a team. We need both the folks running part-time, and we need the delivery companies, to be on the same page. But we don't want any more regulations. We want people to be able to do what they need to do to grow their business. Well, we're at time, and definitely continue the conversation in our Facebook group, Watersport and Boat Tour Operators. Leave us a review on our podcast if you haven't done that yet, and join our email list so you can get updated on all our upcoming episodes. As always, keep it awkward.